Next, I want to talk about foot sweeps, and I'm going to go over a variety of different type of foot sweeps, different type of preparations and approaches to foot sweeps. You can do foot sweeps from basically 3 different ranges. One range is totally open. Okay, staggered stance. If I'm wrestling Colby in here, we'll go over some of the techniques here. I can be popping in here. I can come in, and I can attack a leg that way. Okay? Pop in and sweep, hitting it with my instep. We're going to be going over more detail shortly. But just to give you an idea of the various ranges, that's probably not going to take opponent down. Sometimes I'll push the head and take the opponent down. Again, we're going to go over that technique. Sometimes pop it to a single leg, which is something I like a lot. But just to show you the range, that's an outside range where contact is fair. We're out a little further. Okay, I might not even be quite making contact with them. I make contact as I come in. The next range is when we're tied up, but not chest to chest. Okay, again, I can do my foot sweeps in here pretty much the same type of way. The third way I can do foot sweeps is when I'm pummeling. Although, as I do foot sweeps in this type of direction or this type of technique, I'm going to be changing my direction. Okay, right here we're chest to chest. I'm going to go over these in more detail, but I just want to give you the notion first that there are different ranges you can utilize these techniques, and the techniques that you use and the direction you're trying to bring your opponent are somewhat different depending upon whether you're further away or closer to your opponent. There are 2 basic directions that you may want to take the foot sweep. Okay? One is skipping in, and I'm going to pop his leg to the inside like this, and I may try to pull his upper body over where that post isn't. Okay? That's one type of a foot sweep. The other type is, typically when we're pummeling, we're chest to chest, I'm going to block, or I'm almost going to like step on his instep here, okay, with the arch of my foot, and I'm going to pull his body this way. And again, we're going to go over the techniques involved with that, but understand that there's 2 basic directions and methods I'm going to use when I do my foot sweep in terms of the footwork. Okay, now, to go over a drill that'll help you with the footwork for the first type of technique. And that is simply getting a sense of how to pop your opponent's foot out. Now watch, if Colby, leave this foot forward. If Colby has this foot forward in a staggered stance, but his weight is on this foot, and I come into it, doesn't go nowhere. Okay? If his weight is on this foot, I may hurt his ankle, may hurt my ankle, but probably his foot is not going to move if I try to sweep it. What I've got to do is I've got to shift the weight from this foot, or even if it's 50-50 in terms of percentage, I still need to shift the weight to the opposite leg for me to sweep, okay, for me to pop the leg out. Now, a good way of learning a rhythm in doing this is Colby's going to start out with 1 foot forward. I'm going to hop in. Notice I can't reach, just like with my inside trip, I can't reach very easily, so I've got to skip in, and then I'm going to pop. And I pop with sort of the medial part of the arch of my foot. I'm not hitting them like this. I'm kind of turning my foot in like that. Okay? Boom, like that. So I'm going to skip in, here, skip in. I'm going to pop this out, and he's going to step back. Now I'm going to skip on this foot, and I'm going to pop this one. Boom. He steps. If you practice this with an opponent, you'll get a rhythm down and a feel for when you can pop the leg without miscalculating when his weight's here, coming in and drilling both of yourselves in the ankles. Okay? So you've got to shift your opponent's weight. And that'll help, that drill will help you develop a sensitivity to where your opponent's weight is so you can knock that out, as opposed to hitting them at the wrong time when their weight's on that post. It's not going to go anywhere. You're just going to cause each other some discomfort. Now, in terms of this type of a technique where I'm going to skip in and pop the leg, I like doing this a lot when my opponent has a staggered stance and we have a mirrored staggered stance. In other words, Colby's right leg is forward and my left leg is forward. If I was like this, such that both of our right legs were forward, I might have a double leg on this side, but I wouldn't have a good sweep on this side because his foot is farther back. It's too difficult to reach and the angle's poor. But in this situation, and I prefer typically to lead with my left leg, that's my personal preference. If he leads with his right leg, which a lot of opponents do, I like working on the head up in here, and as we're moving around, I'll come this way. I sweep with my foot, bringing his foot out this way, and I drive his head to where his post isn't. So my sweep is coming this way, and with my hand, I'm jamming his head over and down so that he'll topple by virtue of me shifting his weight past this post. If it's on this post, and this is a center of gravity, as I'm sweeping, I've got to jam the upper body outside or past that post, and my opponent will topple. So I'm popping here, moving here. And you'd be surprised that that is something you can get a lot of people, and especially too, like if their head is fairly low here, if we're kind of popping, we're moving around here, and I'm struggling to try to pop his head down, he comes up to knock him down. Even if I don't get him down, he realizes that I've got another weapon that I'm attacking. Okay, he realizes that I've got another thing that's going to be coming after him besides just my hands to his legs. And that all of a sudden gives him more things he's got to think about. Okay, and it's hopefully be more difficult for him to defend the totality of all my different attacks. But I like the notion of just moving around here, popping with the head, and now I can kind of feel him moving around. He steps back here. What happens if he steps back? His weight's shifting back, and that gives me the opportunity. Remember, if he's shifting back, if he steps back, his weight is coming back. That's an opportunity. As he steps back, I only push him back to help him step back. He steps back, his weight comes back. It's not on that front foot. That gives me the opportunity to attack that. The next thing I like to do is to simply do that to a single leg takedown. Because what I can do is pop it up, and again, especially when people are used to this type of technique, I may not be that successful all the time in getting them down to the mat. But I usually am successful at least getting their foot up a little bit. They can't do anything defensively until they can get it back down to the mat. So while it's up here, typically it's also closer to me, I'm going to grab it. So all I'm doing in this type of situation is bopping around here. I come in here, and then this comes down. Outside, inside. Down. It's not going to come back. That's inefficient. That's a big move. It's going to come down, from the head down, around the back of the leg, then inside. Remember, if my opponent is advancing on me, it's very difficult for me to do this type of a foot sweep because as he steps forward, that's where his weight is. I'm going to jam against it, step forward. If his weight's forward, as he steps down, I'm not going to get that type of a sweep very easily. So again, this is a situation when my opponent is retreating because as he steps here, now the weight is off with his foot for me to attack. So be sure you're aware of which situation it's appropriate to be able to sweep in so you're not trying to attack that when you're retreating and your opponent's advancing on you.